Hi guys and welcome to What's Cooking. Today I'm introducing you to pesto. Now pesto is one of my favourite little condiments that I use in spaghetti or your favourite pasta, just on some bread or some toast. You can mix it up with some mushrooms or your favourite roast vegetables. There's a lot of things you can do with it, include it in a sauce. The first thing you need to do with pesto, guys, is just make sure you've roasted off some pine nuts. Please guys, don't add hot pine nuts to your basil, as it's going to wilt the basil. It's going to make it black. It's not going to be very attractive at all. Now it's just the same concept as cooking pasta, or if you're preparing some risotto and you don't want to cook it from scratch, the best thing to do is just cool things down on a cold surface. Just give it a good surface area ratio, that way it just air dries, because if these were all stacked up on top of each other, it's going to take forever to cool down. Okay, so apart from the pine nuts, obviously we need some basil. To keep your herbs nice and fresh, just when you get them, just drizzle them with a little bit of water, give them a good shake, put them in a plastic container or in a plastic bag, nice and sealed, with not too much water, and they will not stay nice and crisp and healthy. If you put too much water, or if the basil is a really hot area, it's just going to wilt and die. Now basil is one of those things that's very fragile. So we need basil, we need some parmesan. Okay, look, personally, I only use about 1 or 1.5 garlic cloves. I've got 2 bunches of basil here, so if you only have 1 bunch of basil, just follow the recipe and just use a small garlic clove or half a large one. Also, I've got just my classic olive oil. I've got my red wine vinegar, salt, pepper. Now, if you want your basil to last longer and you want to keep it nice and green, I recommend if you come across some baby spinach, just add some baby spinach to your pesto, and that's just going to keep it really green for a lot longer. You can also, if you're not using pesto in a couple of days, you can store it in the freezer as well, and that will keep really nice in the freezer, and when you need it, just put it in your fridge the day before, and that will thaw out nicely in your fridge. Okay, so the pine nuts are nice and cooled down. I'm just going to go over to the blender now. Okay guys, now as I mentioned before with pesto, with basil, don't cut it up, otherwise it's just going to go black. So all I do, just tear it up, get those stems out of there. Now I've got a little bit of stems in here. They're packed full of flavour and they're going to give that pesto a really good pungent basil taste, so don't pick them out guys. It's just like any other herb like coriander and parsley. It's got all that nutritional value and flavour. There's no point throwing stuff out when you can use it. Get the most out of your money and out of your produce. Okay, so as I said, in the recipe down below, I'm just using 1 bunch of basil, but I'm just gonna prep some pesto for home. All the foods that I do teach you, I consume myself and I love. I love a variety of different foods. I don't like plain boring food. Okay, so I've started with my basil. I've got my pine nuts nice and cooled down. Now I'm only going to use just over half of those pine nuts at this stage, and I'll show you why in a minute. And then just that parmesan, that beautiful parmesan in there. If you can grate it before you assemble the pesto, it's even better, a lot more flavour. And just my garlic, 1.5 garlic. If you're thinking of storing your pesto for longer, don't add salt, because again, salt causes the osmosis process, which is the withdrawal of moisture. So if you really want to obtain the best out of that pesto, all you need to do is just add the salt later on. So I'm going to hold out on the salt this time. In with my olive oil just to start with, otherwise I'm just going to blitz up some dry leafy substance. So I've really got to get a good dose of olive oil in there just to get the blending process on its way. You can use any type of acid. You can use white vinegar, red wine vinegar, lemon juice. I just need a little bit of that guys, just to bring everything together and give that little edge. Okay, so I've got everything in there. With this particular pesto, because I'm using this blender, now if you've got a stick blender or any of the other processes that I showed you in introduction, you don't need to do this method. Now I'm using this method so that I get a nice consistent thick pesto. If I don't open the lid and push those leaves down, or give it a good rotation, I'm just gonna end up with a watery pesto and just overflowing with oil. So, just have a look. I'll blitz that slowly. Now just push the basil down. Make sure you don't hit the blitzer. As you can see, I straight away need to add some more olive oil. Now, just to prevent any damage to the blender, I'll turn it off and I'll just push that basil down to make sure it all blends up nice and consistently. So I'm just going to add a bit more olive oil. Give that a little swirl. Oh, look at that. That is amazing, guys. Beautiful. Okay, so that's finished blending. Guys, turn it off from there. Switch it off from there to prevent any splash or disaster to occur. Please, guys, if you're blending a soup or anything hot, make sure it's cooled down. You don't want any spillage. Safety first, guys. Okay, so I've just taken that off. Okay, check that out. That is absolutely beautiful. Okay, so before I do anything else, I'm just gonna give it a taste. Just so I know I've got a good balance of ingredients. Oh, it's really nutty. It's got that beautiful parmesan, and it hasn't got that much garlic, so I don't get that strong flavour from the garlic. I'm just gonna put that in my little crystal glass. Oh. You can put it straight into a container, guys, and just put some more olive oil or get some greaseproof paper on the top just to prevent any oxidization. Now, those pine nuts before, look, I'm just gonna put those on there like that, just to give it that extra crunch. And there's your pesto, guys. Enjoy.